Hello and welcome. I'll be your host for UNBIND today. My name is Cassie Larson. I am the SVP of Strategic Execution here at Bindable. Our conversation today is centered around the rising together in insurance. The competition for talent across all industries continues to heat up, and insurance is no exception. As insurance talent begins to age out of the workforce, organizations need to reconceptualize how they find talent. They need to find novel ways to appeal to newer generations who may not be proactively seeking careers in our space. However, with the right mindset and dedication to nurturing young talent, insurance is well poised to attract, develop, and retain the right employees. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Tim Roberts. He is the VP of Workers' Compensation Claims at Everest Insurance, where he's responsible for all aspects of the workers' compensation claims. Tim has over 30 years of multi-line claim experience and 20 years of management experience. I had the great pleasure of meeting Tim at the 2022 Rising Insurance Star Executives, or also known as RISE, Leadership Summit and Awards Gala in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in June. This is where Tim was nominated as the RISE Mentor of the Year, and he shared invaluable experience with a room filled of young leaders and also mentors who are paving the way for our next generation of insurance professionals. Tim, it's so great to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Cassie, I'm honored. It's good to see you again and looking forward to this.
Excellent. Well, I mean, getting right down to it in the spirit of rising together in insurance and talking about the career space, let's start from the beginning. How did you get your start in insurance and what led you to the role that you have today?
I got started away a lot of people accidentally. When I got out of college, I was looking for a job. I wanted to do something that I thought was important, that was challenging, and gave me an opportunity to use what I think were my skills and talents. I fell into insurance, have liked it. It's been a great career. I've got a chance to do very challenging things, go to interesting places, meet interesting people. So that's what keeps me there. What got me here was an accident, but what keeps me here is intentional.
That's excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about the accident? How did you fall into the insurance industry?
I was looking for a job and I responded to an ad. And this is how old fashioned it was. This was a newspaper ad. So I responded to a newspaper ad. I met with someone, they described the job to me and they said it was insurance. I said, okay, I knew about insurance that you needed it to have a car. I talked to people, they started me. I was fortunate the job that I had the first time, they took me through all the aspects of the company, underwriting, claims, accounting, marketing. So I got a chance to see all the different aspects and really felt like claims was challenging. I felt it was an opportunity to help people, to do work that interests me. And that's how I got into claims.
That's amazing. It's funny. I have a similar story. I fell into it as well. When I was an intern in college, I was a marketing major at the time. And I found a job on a job posting board and fell into it as well. So it's a nice theme there. And speaking about the talent in the industry. I guess, kind of bringing you back into the RISE experience and being nominated as Mentor of the Year. Can you tell us a little bit, how you think about being a mentor? What is the role of a mentor? What inspired you to, walk into that kind of a space?
I see a mentor as kind of a confidant for people. So this is somebody that's outside of your usual hierarchy, and it's not, your boss. Your boss can do that, but it's not your boss or someone within your operation. It's someone that you can bounce things off of and feel like it's kind of a judgment-free zone. That's why I think a mentor serves. Like I can talk to you about something they're not worried about. Okay, is this going to affect my career? Is it going to affect my standing? And I can get good advice. I like doing that. I've had an opportunity to do that in various positions. I think it's a valuable thing to have somebody that you can feel like you can go to, that you don't feel like, okay, I'm possibly jeopardizing my job by having this conversation, or I'm changing how someone's going to look at me by raising these issues. It's nice to have that opportunity to have someone that you can do that with.
Yeah, just like bounce the ideas off and make sure the sanity check and things like that. And your experience as a mentor, have you ran into anything surprising or unexpected as you've maybe had mentees, mentors before?
Yeah, I mean, I have in our company has a mentorship program, and I've had a couple of mentees that were in London. And one of the things that I found out is, I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be vastly different than what I see in the US, but a lot of the issues, because they involve people, are the same. A lot of the concerns are the same. A lot of the challenges are the same. And I've found that I was able to provide assistance to those people just like I would provide assistance to someone here in the United States.
That's great. And then looking back at your career to date, is there any one experience or person you feel like's been most impactful to you, knowing that you're impacting other mentees' lives? Have you had mentors in the past? And through that experience, any advice that you would give to others who are looking for mentorship?
Well, there are two things that stand out. One is early. I was a teenager, and it came from my dad. I was working somewhere. I was working at Toys R Us, and I was telling him how great I was and how I don't know how these people survive without me. And he says, that store was there before you got there, and it will be there after you're gone. So it was a humbling process of thinking about, what your true significance is in a situation is not to get too full of yourself or take yourself too seriously, because operations will survive you. Almost everybody will survive you. So that was good. And then I worked with somebody at one point in time that was just very good at contingency planning. Like, okay, if this happens, what will you do? If this happens, what will you do? If this goes wrong, what will you happen? And I think that's a valuable thing for people to understand as you manage your careers. It's not always going to go exactly the way you want to. Like, you're not going to always get the job that you want, or your boss is not always going to be great, or you're not going to. Sometimes I've moved several locations. You may not always get the job that you want, the location you want, the situation you want. And how do you adapt to that? I think adaptability and the ability to plan for things not going well. I mean, you hope for, it's the old saying, plan for the worst, hope for the best. But I think that's very true. Like, think about what happens if this doesn't go the way I want to. What will I do? And I think a lot of people sometimes find themselves stuck because something doesn't go the way they want, and they haven't really thought through, well, what will I do if this doesn't work?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And kind of building that spiral staircase too of a career path, right? And being able to say, hey, maybe I didn't get the job that I was looking for, but there's another opportunity over here. I can get some more exposure in a different area, build my skill sets out in different ways. I love that. And just kind of thinking about what the alternatives are and different ways to approach that.
One thing, and I just talked to somebody recently about this, is you should look at your career as like, what is it that you want to do? Like, what kind of things do you want to do? What values do you want to uphold? Do you want challenges? You want to do interesting work? Instead of like narrowing your search, like, I want to be a vice president, or I want to be a director, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. If you have in mind that the traits of what you want, and you have an idea of that from a value standpoint and intangibles, that'll lead you to where you want to go. Like, I've never set out, I want to be a vice president, or I set out to be this. I want to do good work. I want to provide value. I want to solve problems. And that will take you to the places that you want to go if you have that, as opposed to like a direct goal. Like, I want to be, again, a vice president in 2 years. Do good work, do challenging work, provide value to the organization you're in, provide solutions, and everything else will follow that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And also thinking too about just about like the career path and building that spiral staircase and seeing different ways we can grow in our careers. I think it was really interesting at the Rise Gala, where Mike Hesley, he's the CEO of Gallagher Bassett North America. He delivered a really powerful keynote where he was talking about how people fell into the industry and how you fall into different roles. And you remember he had everybody raise their hand. Who here thought that they would be in the insurance industry when they were a young professional kind of coming up? And a couple hands were up, not a lot. And then he said, who here thinks that they'll retire in the insurance industry? And I think maybe almost all hands were up, and everyone was really passionate about it. I'm just curious, from your perspective, how do you account for the gap between the number of folks who start their career thinking I'll be in insurance versus those who say, I want to end my career in insurance. I feel like I'm helping people.
I think that's kind of what we were just talking about earlier, is the people who stay and have found things that align with their values and their interests. And you think about it from an industry standpoint. The truth is, and I've been doing this a long time, but you still don't run into a lot of people. So I really always wanted to be in insurance. But once you discover that, discover the things that you can accomplish in insurance, okay, this is something that I really want to do. And I say to people all the time, is keep an open mind about what you're going to do. Like, all of us who are in it had an open mind at some point in time, because I'm sure there's some people like, I don't want to do insurance. I've seen commercials. I don't want to do this. But if you have an open mind to what you're willing to do and what you're at least willing to try, it can lead you to some wonderful places.
I love that. So that's kind of for the candidate. I'm thinking about like the companies and the insurance industry. What do you think is like the biggest challenge that the companies are running into in attracting that talent and attracting diverse talent?
I think the industry does not do a particularly good job of putting forth the things that the people who are in it are attracted to. The ability, one of it's huge, just the ability to help people. I mean, no matter what element of insurance, everybody needs insurance. And insurance is something that helps people in their worst times. Insurance helps businesses build. If you need insurance to help you build your business, to cut down on your risk, there are a lot of great things that happen that people get from insurance that I don't think the industry does a good enough job of putting forth. I mean, I don't think the industry does a good enough job of advertising and putting forth the low unemployment rate that's in insurance and the money that can be made. I mean, there's so many attractive things that keeps us in the industry that I don't believe the industry does a good enough job of putting out in front of people. We just recently had a program in our school where our company, where we talked to some high school students and talked to them about the industry. And I was encouraged because, we put forth what we do. We had a couple of people say, I think this is something I might want to do. So that we're able to create that interest when they were able to talk to people in the industry and see how passionate they are about what they do and what the opportunities were to do good work. And I think the industry, those are the kind of things I think the industry has to do a lot more of.
No, I'd agree with that. And also just bringing forward, hey, you're helping people on the hardest times of their lives. Like, you don't think about insurance on the daily, but man, when you need it,
Yes.
It's there for you and it's there to support you. And that's what's going to get you through some tough times. So I love that perspective. And also thinking about like digital transformation too, right? Like I can share with you, I was an insurance agent. I started as an insurance agent maybe 12 years ago now. And we were still sending faxes at that time, which is crazy. So if you think about the digital transformation, or maybe in some parts of it, maybe lack thereof, how do you think that the insurance industry can move forward with digital transformation to attract that new talent? Is there any particular way we could position that, or relevant skills that perhaps the workforce needs to think about as they're coming into the insurance industry?
Well, I think that you've seen a lot of change from a digital transformation standpoint, but I think there's a long way to go. There's still some antiquated practices that we do. We still issue checks, and we still we still issue paper policies, and we still insist on having people sign paper documents. So I think that's also an opportunity for people who are in the digital space who want to be, in information technology. There's a lot of opportunity in insurance because there's a lot of, we've come a long way, but there's a long way to go. And that's another thing I think that can really be sold is there's a lot of technology unexplored in the industry that for those people who are interested in doing those type of things, there's a place for them in the industry.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's such an opportunity and a long road ahead of us. And if we can get that talent into the industry and help us push that forward, it's only going to move that needle that much more. So I guess that's thinking a little bit about the growth mindset of the industry, but perhaps as an individual coming into the insurance industry, how do you maintain that growth mindset and always be thinking about the way of the future? Are there any practices or methods that you use to constantly challenge maybe what your own assumptions are today that may change tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now?
I adopt the philosophy: if you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind. So you have to really, keep myself, educated on things that are going on in the industry. I listen to people that I know they're in other industries and things that they're doing, and look at things that are happening just across the business spectrum. And so this is something we should think about, or this is something we need to look at. I think you just have to keep learning, and you have to keep. And I also think some of that learning has to be outside of the industry. You have to keep yourself up on what's going on in the business world in general, and just society. Like what's going on in society? What kind of changes are being made? We've had a lot of conversations about when I first started working, you went out, you met with people and claims and like that. Everyone doesn't want that. And that's the other thing is too, learning that we have to adapt to what people want. Some people want to be able to get claim information through an email or an app, and you have to be able to provide that. You have to be able to provide things in terms of what people want to get.
I love that. And like always being better than yesterday too, right? It's like, how does that continuous improvement mindset get ingrained into your everyday life? And what did I do yesterday that can be better today? And what am I doing today that can be better tomorrow? I love that. Just to close us out, Tim, because I think this is a very interesting conversation. And hey, if we're thinking about a growth mindset in the industry, we're also thinking about a growth mindset as individuals. On a personal level, I'm curious, if you had 25 hours in a day, what would you do with your extra hour?
The crazy thing is nothing. Like I think that there's so few time where I do nothing, where I don't feel like just a time to just sit and just kind of take life in and just appreciate the good things, but just take it in. Because I think we're always so busy doing things and planning for things and what's on my calendar, what didn't I do yesterday, what do I need to do today, what do I need to plan for? Like I just an hour just to completely decompress and just just kind of let the day wash over you and say, okay, let me just recalibrate here and just take time to myself, to do nothing, to think of nothing, and just let that happen.
Like meditation, journaling,
Yes.
taking a moment to reflect.
Just
I love
that moment of reflection where you don't feel like, what am I? Because I think, I always tell people the funny thing is whenever you're doing something, you're doing one thing, you're thinking about the thing you're not doing. That's like to tell people about exercise. Sometimes, well, yeah, I want to exercise, but then I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. So you have just a period of time where you're not thinking about what you're not doing and what you should be doing, and just being in the moment.
I love that. I love that. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us today on Unbind. This was a wonderful conversation, and I appreciate your perspective on the industry, on mentorship, on leadership. Thank you to everyone who's listening here today, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you for having a great experience. Bye-bye.